Call of Duty campaigns, they're still a thing, and there are plenty of us fans still out there. 2019's Modern Warfare saw Infinity Ward reboot their much-loved Modern Warfare trilogy with a new, gritty take on the genre. Well, grittier, I guess, than the last one. And they followed that up with another gritty campaign in 2022's Modern Warfare 2, which gave us an action-packed story full of counter-terrorism, revenge, and mustaches. Gotta love that tash. So if you're gearing up for Modern Warfare 3's campaign, get caught up on the rebooted Modern Warfare story right now. The game kicks off in the fictional region of Verdansk, where a CIA operative known simply as Alex is raiding a facility with a team of Marines to search for a shipment of chemical gas. Once the gas is located, things go sideways for the Americans very fast. The gas is stolen by a team of hostile insurgents who kill everyone except for Alex, because that would be inconvenient for the story at this point. We jump to another fictional country, this time Urzikstan, where a good deal of the action takes place. Here we meet Alex's CIA handler, Station Chief Laswell, who has a big old chemical mess on her hands. To clean it up, she calls in a favour from everyone's favourite SAS mustache, Captain John Price. It's good to have you back, Captain. Flash forward 24 hours and we're in merry old London, which has seen better days. The boots on the ground for this mission is Sergeant Kyle Garrick, who's been investigating a group of suspected terrorists, who are thought to be affiliated with an organisation calling themselves Al-Qatala. They intercept a white van full of terrorists, and all hell breaks loose. Garrick and his team fight across the streets of Piccadilly, thwarting terrorists left, right and centre, until our good mate Captain Price turns up to help. With Price along for the ride, the crisis is somewhat averted, but Piccadilly is left looking like a war zone, and that's saying something if you've seen the place at 1 AM on a Sunday morning. Meanwhile, Alex has been dispatched to Urzikstan to rendezvous with an old contact of Price's, the leader of the local resistance, Farah Karim. Alex and Farah strike a mutually beneficial deal. She'll aid his search for the stolen chemicals, while he'll help in her resistance against Russian occupiers, led by General Roman Barkov. Alex keeps his end of the bargain by blowing up a pair of helicopters and taking part in a huge counter-offensive against Barkov's men, aiding Farah and her bigger brother Haydir as they take revenge on the regime that oppressed their country. Back in bonny old London, Garrick's intel on Al-Qatala has come good, and revealed the location of the terrorist safe house. And in the preceding mission, one that was analysed by an SAS soldier on this very channel no less, if you want to check that out, Garrick and Price lead a raid on the property, eventually learning the location of Al-Qatala's head honcho, Oman Suleiman, aka The Wolf. All of which leads us back to Urzikstan, where Alex is roped into the mission to take the Wolf at his hospital base. Which he does. Job done. Only it's not job done, as the Wolf's right-hand man, the Butcher, because all these bad guys have to have hard-sounding names, launches an attack on the US Embassy in a bid to take the Wolf back, which he does. All this despite Captain Price and Sergeant Garrick dropping in on the party to offer their support. So all in all, the Wolf was in custody for what, an hour? That's all semantics though, as Farah has a plan to hit back at the Wolf and his forces on the so-called Highway of Death. From a hilltop sniper den, Alex, Farah and Haydir, complete with his highly improbable homemade sniper rifle, check out our resident firearms expert's opinion on that one, take the attack to a convoy of Al-Qatala forces. The plan backfires when Barkov's men start shooting anyone in sight, and this mad cocktail of death ends with the revelation that Haydir is the thief responsible for stealing the chemical gas supply, a revelation that he announces by triggering the gas and killing everyone within range. Farah and Alex barely survive with their lives, but the gas offers some gnarly side effects, chief among them, a flashback. Yeah, it's 20 years earlier and we're back to good old 1999. Here we witness the birth of Farah's resistance, which stems from a particularly brutal encounter during Barkov's initial invasion of Urzikstan. In the ensuing chaos, Farah witnesses her father being murdered and her neighbourhood getting gassed to within an inch of its life. Young Farah and Haydir survive the onslaught and make it out of the deadly gas, only to be caught by Barkov and his men at the very last minute. Back in the present day, and with Haydir seemingly in league with Al-Qatala, Farah, Price, Alex and Garrick all spring a mission to infiltrate the Wolf's secret den. Storming his base, our heroes locate the Wolf and execute him, but Haydir is nowhere to be seen. And with a good whack of the chemical gas still unaccounted for, the US government sever any and all ties with Farah and her resistance. This naturally angers Price, and Alex, who agrees to stay in Urzikstan and fight alongside Farah. Not sure the CIA are going to like that, Alex, but who am I to say? Before this bombastic story reaches its conclusion though, we've got one more flashback to relive. The year is 2009, and instead of playing Modern Warfare 2 on her Xbox 360, Farah is still imprisoned by Barkov. But not for long. With the aid of a young, moustacheless Price, what is this fresh face? It just doesn't look right. Farah and Haydir finally manage to escape along with a healthy dose of their compatriots. Back to the present day again, and we're in St. Petersburg, where Price and Garrick are following up on intel that Haydir is planning a revenge-based attack in the city. The London lads track down and intercept Al-Qatala before chasing the Butcher across town, finally apprehending him. And with the Butcher refusing to talk, Price takes the gloves off and uses a pretty dirty tactic, forcing the Butcher to talk by threatening his family. Old Butch finally spills the beans, revealing that Haydir is planning an attack on Barkov's estate in Moldova, and so Price and Garrick jump in a cop car and hightail it down there. When they get there, the whole place is crawling with guards, which is just a trivial matter at this stage in COD campaigns. Garrick and Price track down Haydir to the 3rd floor of Barkov's mansion and escort him off the premises. Thanks to the untimely arrival of Barkov's goons though, they only just make it out by the skin of their teeth. Haydir trades his life for intel on Barkov's gas facility, but he's thrown over to the Russians as soon as the trio make contact with Laswell, who wants absolutely nothing to do with him. And with Haydir out of their hair and the newfound knowledge of Barkov's base of operations, Price and Garrick re-team up with Farah and Alex, and this estranged family all go on a merry old crusade into Georgia to take down Barkov. The quartet split up once they reach the facility, with Price and Garrick leading the assault to plant the explosive charges, while Farah and Alex head to intercept Barkov himself. In the ensuing fight, Alex's detonator for the charges malfunctions, and he opts to stay behind to make sure the explosives go off in an act of self-sacrifice, which allows Farah to take her revenge on Barkov and lead her people into the future. And take her revenge she undeniably does. By stowing away on Barkov's personal chopper, she sneaks up on the rotten warlord and puts a knife in his back, and his chest, and his neck, and his... yeah, you get the picture. With Price, Garrick and Farah at a safe distance, the facility blows sky high, bringing an end to Barkov's reign of terror. But before the credits roll, we get a cheeky little sequence between Laswell and Price over a nice cup of tea, and god damn that china looks fancy. Where'd you get that? That's besides the point. The actual point of this scene is to re-establish our favourite squad 141 from the original Modern Warfare trilogy, with the reveal that Garrick actually goes by the name of Gaz, alongside teasers of fan favourites John Soap McTavish and Simon Ghost Riley, all of which will no doubt feature heavily in the campaign for Modern Warfare 2. With the credits on the campaign behind you, the game kindly tells you that the story continues in Spec Ops, and even offers up a handy cinematic to set the scene. With the Wolf dead, Al-Qatala is momentarily weak, but naturally a new leader sweeps in to hoover up that power vacuum. The US and the Russians sync up to take down this new threat under a joint organisation known as the Armistice. And across a host of co-op missions set in Verdansk, they edge closer to the knowledge of who they're dealing with. Turns out this new big bad is a lad named Khalid al-Assad, who's in league with an arms dealer known as Viktor Zakayev. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Lapping beneath those icy waves are 6 whole seasons of story content in the ever-expanding Warzone mode. While Warzone is largely a huge multiplayer campaign, it does offer up a fair few story revelations that will naturally have a big impact on the narrative of Modern Warfare 2. The fragile alliance between the US and the Russians starts to fracture as Zakayev and Al-Qatala turn up the heat in Verdansk. But don't you worry, because there's only bloody Ghost to the rescue, making his first reappearance in this rebooted franchise. He contacts Price to send in reinforcements that they can actually trust, and lo and behold, look who's back from the dead. It's our old mate Alex, who's
still standing.
Price and Gaz themselves also end up heading to Verdansk to bring down Zakayev, but they're also joined by a private military outfit known as the Shadow Company, who send in their own team led by this big lad called Marcus Lurch Ortega. With the help of Farah and Nikolai, Price and co eventually track Zakayev to a nuclear silo, where he's finally killed before Price disengages a world-ending missile from launching. All in a day's work, eh, Price? And Warzone wraps up its Modern Warfare storyline with Soap requesting backup, and with our squadron of badasses wingsuiting to his aid. Right, onwards to Modern Warfare 2, which kicks off in the fictional city of Al-Mazrah, where Task Force 141 assassinates the Iranian general Ghorbrani. We then fast forward a few months, in which time Ghorbrani's right-hand man, a lad known as Major Hassan Zayani, has swooped in to take power in Al-Mazrah, and is looking to get revenge on the strike team that killed his old general. To this end, he manages to get hold of a cache of American missiles, a fact that 141 learns when Ghost and Soap try and fail to apprehend him. Captain Price and Gaz then latch onto Hassan's scent in Amsterdam, where they learn that the Major has gone into hiding in Mexico with his allies, a drug cartel known as Las Almas. 141 team up with the local Mexican Special Forces, led by Colonel Alejandro Vargas, and with the help of a private military company called Shadow Company, bit of a dodgy name, more on that shortly, led by Philip Graves, they finally manage to capture Hassan before he can escape again. Only they almost immediately have to release him when it becomes apparent that they have a lack of evidence to hold against him. Bit of a backward step for the story, but at least we got some decent action set pieces, eh? Anyway, from here the plot diverges, with Laswell, Price and Gaz heading to Spain for a spot of sniping, and to follow up on a lead that connects Las Almas with another cache of missiles. Things go south though, and Laswell is captured by our old enemies Al-Qatala, prompting Gaz and Price to spring a rescue mission in Urzikstan with the help of old friends Nikolai and Farah. While all of that's going on in the Middle East, Soap teams up with Vargas to hunt down the leader of Las Almas, who goes quite theatrically by the name El Sin Nombre, which quite literally translates as the Nameless, who ends up being an old colleague of Vargas. This eventually leads them to discover that one of Las Almas and Hassan's missing missiles is aboard an oil rig in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. But after a successful raid mission to reclaim the missile, Soap, Ghost and Vargas are all betrayed by Shadow Company and Graves, in a spectacular heel turn that is forewarned by Graves' subtitled name turning from blue to red. All of this is at the behest of United States bad egg General Shepard, who has seemingly gone rogue in the wake of a botched mission, which saw him lose the missiles that 141 have been chasing all this time. With Soap and Ghost on the run in the streets of Las Almas, they have to improv their way to safety using anything and everything they can get their hands on to fight back at Shadow Company, who are going through the streets killing everyone indiscriminately. They finally escape the clutches of Graves and team up with Gaz and Price in order to rescue Vargas as well. Anyway, all of this leads into the campaign's endgame, which sees Price confront Shepard for all his treachery before 141 and Vargas' squad team up to take back the Mexican Special Forces base, which has been taken over by Graves and Shadow Company. In the raid on the Mexican base, Graves is seemingly killed, but Hassan remains at large, and is in the process of launching a missile on the Pentagon. 141 managed to nip this plan in the bud while also taking out Hassan as well, averting a major explosion on American soil. And with the crisis averted, Modern Warfare 2's campaign comes to a close. But before we dive into Spec Ops and Warzone, we learn that Shepard was working with a group of Russian terrorists, who are led by someone you may know from the original Modern Warfare trilogy. Yep, the iconic villain Vladimir Makarov makes his entry into the new rebooted franchise, and in a cheeky little mid-credits sting, we see him mutter a simple order to his troops during a plane hijacking: "No Russian." The Spec Ops missions of Modern Warfare 2 take us back to the Middle Eastern city of Al-Mazrah for another strike at the heart of Al-Qatala. Here, Gaz, Price and Farah are tasked with locating a former CIA operative known as Alex Keller, who has gone missing somewhere in the mountains of Urzikstan. 141 eventually track him to a Soviet-era bunker, which used to house a cache of Russian missiles. While the missiles are gone, taken by Al-Qatala, Alex is still there, and he reveals that Farah's brother Hadir is now the de facto leader of the terrorist organisation. Alex regales a simple message from Hadir: "Join me or GTFO." I might be paraphrasing. Anyway, the team pursue Hadir but are eventually caught and thrown in jail. Naturally, they immediately escape, before securing the missing Russian missiles and confronting and killing Hadir himself. Before kicking the bucket though, Hadir implores Farah to continue his mission and use the missiles, stating that the real Russians are coming, and with that he draws his last breath. And with Hadir out of the picture, Farah immediately goes against her brother's wishes and disposes of the warheads. The story of Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer and Warzone is naturally a bit of a free-for-all, with rival PMCs vying for power over various battlegrounds around the world. Chief among these is Shadow Company, which is led by, surprise surprise, Philip Graves, who reveals that he faked his death during the Mexican base raid. Shepard is also back in league with Graves, and the pair lead the charge against a Russian PMC known as the Connie Group, who were disguising themselves as another PMC group known as the Peacekeepers. This all culminates in Operation Rogue Arsenal, which is a resounding failure for Shadow Company when they discover that Russian spies have infiltrated their ranks to hijack the operation. And that should have you all caught up for Modern Warfare 3. Thanks a lot for watching this story recap, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys next time.